Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Almost too much. Almost too much.
Because they knew enough to get in and out of the house undetected. So I'm assuming.
Maddie, Kaylee, Ethan, and Zaina were brutally killed in that house. Any incidences were off of here. What I find odd right now, this is where 4 slain victims attended school. Was an entry into that home, and I believe it was that bedroom. Collaborate, and we go across it and actually tamper it down. To go find that person and find out why that knife was. City of Mount Vernon, Washington, covering the case of the Idaho. Keep your eyes and ears open. God bless you.
I hope you feel better, Mommy. I want you to have a fun time with
On trip 1 is that 4 people lost their lives.
Well, good morning, YouTube. It's nice to be here this beautiful Thursday morning. As you guys can see, I've been pretty busy this morning. Pretty busy, and this is my first cup of hot coffee, because I was struggling this morning to get everything done, that there was some old coffee from yesterday in my pot. So I begrudgingly poured it into my coffee cup. But since then, fresh coffee has been brewed, and this is my first cup of hot coffee. hot coffee. So good morning, everybody. As you guys see, we are on the topic of Kohberger. There's been a lot of stuff going on in his case. So we're going to be breaking it down for you as we roll into this segment. This is going to be a 2-hour segment. As many of you know, this is Thursday. So the Letitia Stalk trial is not, does not commence on Thursday. It actually does not go on at all. There's no trials of any sort. Apparently, this is a day that the judge has set aside for other, other needs of the court during these trial times. We have to remember that this is a smaller area of, this is a small community. It's not a very large community. They don't have a lot of, like here in Manatee County, we have hundreds of, well, I'm not sure hundreds, but I think hundreds of, hearing rooms and things like that. I don't think they have that there. I could be wrong. I don't think so. Truthful Soul, good morning and God bless you. I did see the super sticker. Thank you for that this morning before we even got started, right? So Truthful Soul, good morning to you. Sonia, good morning. M.E., it's nice to see you. Van Lady, who are you? Miss Potty Mouth, filling up Bullhorn Betty's cuss jar since 1992. I'm just joking. I haven't been on here since 1992. Van Lady, good morning. Southern Granny Wolf, it's always nice to have you in the house. Joy, it's nice to be with you as well. Joyous, Kathy S., and I got to say, by the time I was done with the intro, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was because of how long when I set this all up or whatnot, but it was a little crazy because I am, I'm sitting here and I come in here and there's like 107 messages, 107 messages. Like there's not, at this time, there's like 15 people in the room, 107 messages. You guys are awfully chatty this morning. Jennifer L., it's nice to see you, Jennifer L. And the reason why I was laughing at you about the back thing is because we both have such horrible back problems. I actually swallowed a lead before I even got off the live. My back was bothering me yesterday, but I slept soundly like a baby because the night before I didn't sleep well. I really didn't. As you can see, I'm much more vibrant today than I was yesterday because I was dog-ass tired. Excuse my language. Sorry, Turkey Man. You know who we haven't seen in the house in quite some time? Mr. Ricky Beavers. Mr. Ricky Beavers. I hope he's doing well. I know he was so proud of himself with his Spotify. If you guys have not gone over to his Spotify account, make sure you hit him up and tell him we said hi and we're thinking of him as always. I know he's doing great things and working behind the scenes to do amazing things, and God bless him for that. Let's see here. Where else do we have? Sorry, I got to go through here because you remember 107 messages between just a few people. So they're probably, and I've already said good morning to them. I think I said good morning to you, Kathy S. Michelle, Barry, good morning. Nice to see you. MJ, Patricia. Let's see where else. I think I'm getting close to the end. I don't know. I see Karen Davis. Cranky O Bench. We tell everybody not to read between the lines, but Cranky O Bench, I think I'm reading between the lines. Okay. Is that Cranky Pants? Did Cranky Pants change her name? Or do we have two Crankies in the house? Miss Stacy, it's nice to see you. Oh Lord. Nope. I see Cranky Pants. So Cranky Old Bench. Cranky Pants, you got some competition up in the house now. Who's the crankiest? That is the true question. Who is the crankiest on the Bullhorn Betty channel? It's definitely not Bullhorn Betty. Emma, it's nice to see you. Did I say hi to you, Karen? If I haven't, Karen Davis, good morning. It's nice to see you. Maddie Down, Kayla. Stacy, nice to see you. I haven't seen you here in a little minute. Mama Llama, maybe I missed you. Along with Pin 1010. Good morning, love. It's nice to see you. Steppers is in the house. Nice to see you, love. Where else are we? Jennifer, oh, Pink Hair Day. It is Pink Hair Day. So what in the world is Pink Hair Day? For those people that have no clue what we're talking about with this Pink Hair Day, you weren't here yesterday. And if you were here yesterday, you were completely zonked out from hearing Letitia's voice the rest of the day yesterday. Like, I just wanted to die. To be honest with you. Am I allowed to say that as being the commentator? Am I allowed? Oh my goodness, it was awful. So if you don't know what Pink Hair Day is, so yesterday I was supposed to get my hair done. So I leave here, I get the live up so everybody can watch the trial. And I said, probably a few minutes after the trial starts, I will be back. No big deal. You're just going to have to deal with this for the next hour and a half, which is basically no sound. And you guys are just chatting in the chat. God bless the people there, because there were still 100 and some odd people when I came back that were still chatting in the chat box. And so long story short is, while I'm at the hairdresser, I'm in the chat chatting with everybody. And all of a sudden, this thing about pink hair comes up in the chat yesterday. They want me to get pink hair, not the color pink behind me, but, like an angel light pastel pink. They want me to put pink in my hair. And I'm like, I'm talking about going on a couple of trips to cover a couple of cases. And I'm thinking, what are people going to think of me with this pink hair? Is it going to be professional? I really don't do color, as you know. I'm blonde, like platinum blonde, like yellow blonde, but like behind me here on the tape, right? My hair is yellow, like, right? That's what they try to say, right? That's what they try to say. But that's okay. And so I'm like, they just started, it didn't even matter what I said. It didn't matter what I said. They were gung-ho to get me pink hair. Everybody in the chat is talking about the stupid pink hair now. And so now Bullhorn Betty has conceded to the peer pressure of the Bullhorn Betty channel and has decided, since yesterday, why didn't I get my hair done yesterday? Is because my hairdresser mixed me up with somebody else. And so she had already taken the lady back, and she's like, oh, shoot, I wasn't even thinking. She's like, I saw it. And I'm like, I've been sitting here for like 40 minutes. So anyways, I think today was her day off. She has to come all the way back. And she lives, I think, she's in an equestrian type of area. So it's got to be out in rural part of Manatee County. So she's got to come all the way back in to do my hair today. But that's okay, because now she'll have time. She won't be rushed. She doesn't have any other clients coming in today. So at 10 a.m., I'm getting my hair done. And so while I was at the hairdresser rescheduling my hair, I told her that the audience wants me to have light pink highlights in my hair. So she's like, well, how many? And I'm thinking like, okay, maybe, like 4, 5, 6 highlights. That's what I told her, right? I didn't know. Well, then I get pictures of what they want done to my hair, and it's cute. I'm not disputing that it's not cute. That's not what I'm saying. It's cute. It's cute. It was just a little more pink than I was anticipating. So I will be talking to the hairdresser at 10 a.m. And you guys will know, because as soon as I leave there, I will be going live to show you my stinking pink hair that everybody in here was complaining about yesterday. Bullhorn Betty's going pink, okay? And I hear once you go pink, you never go whatever. Oh, Lord, Jennifer, I'm going to kill you. Lori Lowe, it's nice to see you. Did I say good morning to you, Miss Stacy? If I didn't, good morning. Mama Llama, I think. And I said, I know. Robin Stevens, good morning. Help me knots. Help me knots. Is that the same as like help me, Rhonda? And then there's Cranky Pants. Happy pants are on today. She says, happy pants. She said, cranky old bitch can have her cranky today. Oh Lord, you guys crack me up. I have to be honest. You guys do make my day. Tippy Toes, I see you in the house. Good morning. Oladio. I don't know how to pronounce your name. So good morning. Lisa, I see you. Good morning. Tutti Frutti, I see you as well. Adriana, good morning. C12, good morning. It's nice to have you over here. I see you, honey. Julie, And I think, did I say hi to MJ? I know I didn't say hi to Sweetie Pie. So nice to see you, Sweetie Pie. And everybody else, I'm rolling through here to see if I missed anybody. Reap what you sow. Good morning, love. It's nice to see you. I want to give you a big old virtual hug. Sepsis kills. It's nice to see you, Emma. I hope you're having a wonderful day and feeling good and upbeat today, at least more so than usual. Let's pray for good vibes for you, honey. Ali, nice to see you. Cranky 1 and cranky 2. Cranky old bitch said she'll be cranky too. Hey, where's Bullhorn Betty cranky? Okay, what is that? Is that like DEFCON 5?
Bullshit detected. Take precautions.
Oh God. We burnt that button out. OMG. Yesterday we burnt this button out. With that last witness, that expert witness for the defense, oh my gosh, this lady was nuts. I think that lady, honestly, it sounds crazy because you got to understand that there are a lot of people with mental illnesses in this country. And I think that older lady is in denial. I think she is as loopy as Letitia. I really do. I mean, even when she's presented with potential of lying and stuff like that, what does she do? She goes into talking into circles. I mean, ZA, it's nice to see you. But I mean, to be honest with you, that was guidance. Good morning, love. We need to talk, guidance. Whenever I get off here, call me. I want to set up something with you. Since you're so close, I need to borrow you. I need to borrow you. She can be cranky, LOL. That's too funny. So a lot's going on. A lot of good information is coming out today. So that Texas shooter, the gentleman, Francisco Oropesa or something like that. Anyways, he was finally captured. He was actually captured in Conroe, Texas. I was actually in Conroe, Texas within the last year, which is freaking spooky as heck. Watching the language. And actually, I have been super, super good with my language. If you guys have not realized that yet. Let me say that in proper English, right? But the one thing, so we're getting better with the cussing. And the other thing that I am really, 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 really trying to work on this year, and we're already lost almost a half a year already, is this thing right here. This is the thing that I would like to get out of my mouth, right? So I'm going to be trying to work on this. It may not be, this is just a goal. I'm very hesitant. But this is one that I would love to do away with and do away with forever. This is like the last of the Mohicans, right? This is like the last thing that's got Bullhorn Betty. So hopefully this year we'll get rid of this thing too. But until then, right? Okay, so just before we get on into the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about, which is all the new stuff coming out in the Brian Kohberger case, is the Letitia Stalk. So for those that haven't had an opportunity to watch the trial throughout the last several weeks, I think, what was yesterday, 18 or 19 days in? I can't remember, but it's coming close. It's been a long trial. It's been a long trial where a lot of facts have not really been disputed, which is odd in and of itself. But just to kind of break all of the noise out, I'm just going to try to give you guys a lengthy but Reader's Digest version of the Letitia Stalk case and the Letitia Stalk trial. So Gannon Stalk is a little 11-year-old boy that he was born premature. He really had very limited chances of survival when he was born. He beat the odds and became this amazing young boy. Apparently his mother, had some issues, whether it's substance abuse, alcohol abuse. Thank you, Barbara Smith. Thank you. God bless you. Whatever the case may be. there was some kind of excessive substance abuse. I don't know what kind or anything like that, where Al Stout basically acquired custody of the kids. The problem is he's in the military, so he really kind of relied. Him and Letitia Stout got married. They haven't been married for a really, really long time, but they've been together for, I can't recall, but it's not quite double digit years, but it's been some significant amount of years that they have been together. And they haven't really lived together. They haven't really had this home life that is familiar, like many of us have, where mom and dad are in the house or mom and dad are divorced, but you're shuffled between the houses. There's not a whole. I mean, the kids were still shuffled between the houses between mom and Letitia, but there for a while, because Al is trying to go further up in the military. He's having to do specialized training and things like that. So he's being kind of, moved all around the country. It is what goes into being part of a military family. Even for me, my aunt, the one that's actually going to be coming and staying here this month, right? The one that I was on the phone with yesterday. Her husband was a Navy man for 20 some odd years. So she raised the boys. I mean, the reason why she moved from San Francisco to Florida is because she wanted to be around family, because she had the boys. My uncle was always gone. He ended up sending her to school to become an RN, which she did. But the struggle is real, and there's a lot of time when you're part of a military family, you go without your spouse or your significant other because they're doing what they feel is right. They're protecting our country, and as a spouse in a family of military, you kind of also make the sacrifice of the military life. And so she was basically, she apparently loves Al. I mean, I don't think that she has a twisted, perverted way of love, but I believe she loved Al, and she went over backwards. I think for her, though, with her illness, she has to be, she doesn't really do anything from the kindness of her heart. If she does it from the kindness of her heart, she wants people to almost go out of their way to thank her. She wants to feel like she is on this pedestal. She doesn't want to do things nice because they're the right thing to do or to pull herself up on the pool. No, she does it because she wants the attaboy. She wants people to notice that she sacrificed so much for whatever the event is, whether it's Christmas, whether it's taking care of the kids, whether it's making sure that the kids are picked up and dropped off so Al doesn't lose his visitation with his children. She took that on when she married Albert. So apparently there's been she's been feeling, I'm going to just kind of read between the lines here on this one. I think she feels like she was, or justified herself this way. She feels like she was just married, that Al just married her for her to take care of his kids, is kind of the sentiments that I am feeling, that the resentment she had toward Albert and toward Gannon, for that fact, I think had a lot to do with, she personally felt Al did not love her, that he was just using her for a babysitter, more or less, to shuttle his kids around while he's gallivanting the country and, bebopping with this and that and everything else. I think that's really kind of how she felt and how she was processing this. And that's not a good place to be, but that's why there's things called divorce and things. Like, she could have talked before those kids came back. She obviously is telling the jury, we've heard multiple times how she was planning on leaving and heading back to South Carolina. She knew that. She could have told the kid's mom, don't send them back. Don't keep them with you. They didn't have to come back. And she never told the mom that. The kids came back, and, she took the kids in, and Al went to this training, and he was coming back. But long story short is, on January 20, I'm a little foggy. I don't think I quite understand, because I still think something happened on that January 26th, about how he in the photo that was taken of him in bed and sent to Al, that I thought was really odd that she did that on the 26th. And even the video of him getting burnt with the wax was done on the 26th. And then he was put downstairs in bed, and Harley doesn't recall him ever speaking to her when she went down there to tell him good night. And she also pointed out how odd it was that her mom, because her mom never goes down there or never tells Gannon good night, how odd it was for her to, her mom to specifically tell her to go down there and tell Gannon good night. So it almost implies that maybe something happened to him that day where he was, he wasn't doing too well. But then we have some videos on the 27th where he's leaving the house. So I'm really unclear. But between the January 26th, 2020 and January 27th, 2020, when Letitia Stalk filed the missing persons report against Gannon, all these weird things she started doing. And then we find out from other testimony how violent the scene was inside Gannon's bedroom. And she went on all these wild stories over a month with Al, her husband, Gannon's father. She also said a lot of horrific things about Gannon's mother. Now, meanwhile, all this time, even though at this point she was denying having anything to do with his death, she was calling the mom horrible names, knowing that she murdered their son. She's trying to now claim it, her wild stories didn't do her any justice. She was able to get out of Colorado. She ended up making her way over to Texas, didn't like Texas, ended up going to Florida, a few blocks, like 3 or 4 blocks away from the hotel that her and her daughter stayed at, was where they ultimately found the suitcase with Gannon's body in it, in an overpass, which just so happened to be checked. That overpass is not checked by a person except for every 2 years. And so that person just happened to be there for the inspection of that overpass when they came across the suitcase with Gannon's body in it. And so Letitia had already previously, several days or a couple weeks maybe before they discovered Gannon's body, she was arrested and charged with second-degree murder in his death, which was ultimately increased when they found his body and they realized that not only was he stabbed 18 times, he had 4 different blunt force trauma injuries as well as being shot. That was that went past an accident. I think that Al Stout would have been more understanding if it was a serious mistake and Letitia just didn't know how to handle it. But the whole time that Letitia was feeding him this story, in the back of his mind, he truly believed that some accident happened and Letitia just freaked out and ended up hiding his son. He had no idea that she did such horrible acts to his son, bludgeoning, stabbing, and shooting. And I don't think anything could have prepared Al for finding out that news. So anyways, Letitia's been sitting in jail since March of 2020. And all of a sudden she had a couple of attorneys. She fired those attorneys. She wanted to represent herself. And then she decided around February of 2022 that she needed some counsel. And she got the 2 guys that we see handling her trial now. And the issue here is ever since she met with these attorneys, all of a sudden she changed her plea from not guilty by reason of insanity. The problem is the whole 2 years she's been in jail, she hasn't acted insane. She hasn't tried to pull off this insanity plea. And then all of a sudden from February on, she starts doing some weird behavior to try to get notified as somebody that has a mental illness, and going to the medical wing of the jail and really trying. But the people are overhearing some of the comments that she's saying, like she's going to prove that she's insane. Just some really off the cuff and weird comments that she said early on, back when she first hired the attorneys. And then by November 2022, again, a significant years ahead, now here she is saying that she's got multiple personalities, Maria Sanchez and all these other people. But those things never really came up in this trial until 2022, which I find very, very odd. But they decided to go down this road. And not only that, but the witness, from my purview, the witness, this last expert witness, Dr. Lewis, highlighted several things that I would say were borderline ethical issues for those attorneys. And the attorney, obviously wanted to clear his name because he realizes the ethical implications that her testimony had. And he started clarifying some of the stuff. And like the judge, as well as the prosecution, they ended up sustaining a lot of his questioning, even though it was more in line, instead of anything to do with the case, more in line of his reputation. But, quite frankly, I kind of pinned that, pointed that out before it even got to that point, that, based upon not yesterday's testimony from Dr. Lewis, but the day before's testimony from Dr. Lewis, it was apparent that she did not receive all the information. And it appeared that she was relying heavily on her attorneys to guide her, especially in the law and things like that, and that they weren't being necessarily, in my opinion, truthful. And I find problems with that. We did have some audio issues. The judge forgot to turn his microphone back on yesterday as we were, it did end up eventually come back on, but during the jury questions of Dr. Lewis, we were muted. We didn't get to hear those questions from the jury to Dr. Lewis. And we also didn't get to hear whether or not Letitia was going to be a witness in her own defense. And so I've got some answers for that. I was able to send out a community tab and state that we do not have, that she's not going to be taking the stand in her defense. That was one of the first things that I was able to acquire with that stuff muted, that she's not going to be taking the stand in her own defense. We did run some polls here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. It was a 50-50 split on whether we believe she was going to take the stand or not. Many of you know we did a similar poll in Alex Murdaugh's trial, and I said I didn't believe he was going to take the stand. I actually said I don't believe he's stupid enough to take the stand, and he was. And so I kind of thought this one through. But again, I understand female thinking more so than men thinking because I'm a female. But I did say I didn't think she was going to take the stand. And I listed a number of reasons why I didn't think she was going to take the stand. But most of it had to do with her body language during the trial, and how when she was presented with tough videos or tough statements that she had previously made or something to that effect, you would see her start covering her face and covering her eyes. And when she's on that stand, she'll be fully exposed. She's not going to be able to run away. She's not going to be able to hide behind her hair. She's not going to be able to lay her head down on the table. She's going to be fully aware, and she's going to have to answer all of their questions. And I didn't think she wanted to expose herself that much, especially in light of all the lies that she has spun throughout this entire case, from the moment that Gannon Stalk went missing up to the trial. Has been nothing but a mess of lies, lie after lie after lie after lie. And so, I just really didn't think she was going to have the balls to deal with all the questioning that was going to come if she took the stand. And I think it's a smart decision for her. I don't think it's going to help her one way or another. I'm pretty sure that the jury already thinks she's guilty. They're going to clearly come back with a verdict of guilty. I truly believe that. I wouldn't say it if I didn't, even though it's just my opinion. I believe they're going to come back with a verdict of guilty, and I believe that they're going to come back with a verdict of guilty very quickly. I don't think this is going to be one that's drug out for the weekend or into Monday. If they are able to give their closing arguments and allow them to deliberate, I think if they're deliberating on Friday, we're going to have an answer on Friday as to whether she is guilty or not guilty. So we'll be monitoring that, in the foreseeable future. But I think that one gal, Dr. Lewis, really did her credibility in my opinion, because She wasn't willing to listen to reason. She didn't really want to listen to the true facts of the case. She only wanted to deal with all the hypotheticals, all the details that were lies and manipulations from Letitia. She didn't, when approached and confronted with the fact that, you know, Letitia lied about going around and buying Gannon his toy and wanting to get him ice cream. She was confronted by the state and said, you realize that's all a lie. That did not happen. Because she was saying, you know, that's obviously delusional if she's doing all these things with Gannon in the car. And he's like, well, that was a lie. And she's like, well, that's delusional. And it's like, well, you can't say if she does it this way, she's delusional. If she does it that way, it's delusional, when you only have two options here. Did it happen or did it not happen? It's not like you got 15 million options here. There's two. And you're saying no matter what we say, she's delusional. So in this witness's mind, everybody is freaking delusional and has multiple personalities. If you go through your grocery list and you're talking to yourself and say, did I forget anything on my list? And you respond back to yourself and say, yeah, you did. You forgot to put the apples on the list. Guess what? You're schizophrenic, according to Dr. Lewis. Okay. So we're all very, 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 very ill people out here in the country. And she's the one that decides whether we have multiple personalities or not, you know, because she's the authority on multiple personalities. She's the authority, but yet she doesn't want to look at actual facts to make a determination on whether somebody's insane or not. That was the worst. I think that was one of the worst testimonies I think I've seen, at least in a very long time. We'll say that, at least in a very long time. But that was truly, truly horrible. Did not agree with anything Dr. Lewis said. I don't think any of us did. Oh, and that brings me to the next part. Remember, there was some jury questions after that. And I think it was on ICML that he got a hold of somebody that was inside that courtroom, and they were able to talk about this. They were able to talk about this, some questions that they had. And they said that one of the questions that her in her mind, they took Dr. Lewis as a joke. The jury took the Dr. Lewis as a joke. And one of the questions is while your nonprofit practice was open, went up. When you closed your practice, did it go down? You know, so it wasn't like, I think it was a serious question, but I think it was almost a mocking question. So if that tells you the sentiments of the jury and how much weight they put into Dr. Lewis's, and see, this is another thing. Remember how I talked to you about like the first witness for Letitia? You could tell she was unbiased. You know, she would answer the questions at hand. Even the doctors that were for the state, they didn't get really flustered. They answered the question as honest and efficiently and effectively as they could. They didn't have any reason to hide or deceive because they don't really have a dog in the fight. They are an unbiased party to the case. All they are to do is to give their honest opinion on what they believe is going on with whatever subject that they are monitoring, examining, just reviewing. But here with this particular witness, Dr. Lewis, she broke all the cardinal rules in this type of examination. She allowed attorneys in there. She allowed attorneys to ask questions. She talked about, certain illnesses in front of the subject. She was she almost was guiding them in what they need to do and what they need or need not to know. And it was all captured on video in the Letitia Stout trial. So it's like that. And she got combative when people challenged her, where all the other witnesses, medical witnesses, expert witnesses, psychologists, nobody seemed to get flustered like that when being challenged on their report or anything like that. But this particular witness was very much so combative. And, the first day she looked like Aunt Millie, and, we were like, oh, she's cute, bless her heart. She seemed like she was the sweet, but then like the next day you really saw her, and it's like, man, she's good. She's good. She knows how to pull the wool over people's eyes pretty good. and she tries to almost negotiate with them from the stand. I noticed with Dr. Lewis, for example, she was like, it's hard because you can't see it, so she's like negotiating and appealing to their senses of, this is real. And, it's like this lady, if that act that Letitia Stout put on is enough to convince this lady that's been following this illness for 40 years, then this lady that's been following this illness for 40 years is not very good, and probably why she can't keep a practice open, and probably why she's a teacher as opposed to a practicing therapist. Does she see people? Of course she does, but it always seems to be more in line with these types of cases as opposed to having a generalized practice that sees and seeks patients on a regular basis, daily, monthly, weekly, something where she's seeing them regularly as opposed to giving opinions. I believe she's given plenty of opinions. I believe she's very much got the credentialing to provide expert opinions, but it's just that when you have to constantly change your story to match your narrative, you're being deceptive. And I think the jury picked up on that. Would you guys like me to open up the phone lines just a little bit so you guys can talk about the Letitia Stout trial, what you got out of it? Or do you want to just go on to the Idaho 4 stuff? There's not a whole lot really to go on. It's just stuff that we haven't been able. I mean, we've talked about it during the trials and breaks and stuff like that, but it's not been something that we've been able to really, you know what, let me just open the phone lines. And if somebody wants to call in, you can call in. If you don't want to call in, don't call in. And then those that want to call in can. There, we'll solve the problem for everybody. Wait just a second. There you go. All right, the phone number is up on the screen, 724-249-6140 for those that are visually impaired. If you'd like to talk, what we're talking, we can talk about anything. I'm not going to limit it and say, oh, we can only talk about Letitia Stout. We can talk about whatever you would like. Oh, let me change it over here. There we go. You can talk about anything that you would like to talk about, but the Letitia Stout trial, again, I just really think that, and we knew that this was kind of a Hail Mary for her because there's really, by the time of the trial, there was no real over whether she killed Gannon. Wow, good morning there, my friend. How you doing? Turkey man. I'm doing well. How are you doing, my friend? Mm-hmm. Oh, they are saying that we're not disputing that Letitia's got some major problems. What we're saying is that she doesn't rise to the level prescribed by Colorado law as insane. I absolutely believe that she's got some problems. She's crazy. She's just not insane. Yes.
State institutions being shut down,
Uh-huh.
and a lot of problems from this, that, and the other is showing because they have no facility to take someone like this that needs help.
Yeah. Yeah, but see, the thing is I think she just lost it. I mean, she's got some emotional issues. She's got narcissism. I mean, she was definitely diagnosed with what was it? Oh crud, I can't remember. But she wasn't diagnosed with multiple personalities. She was diagnosed with. I'll get it in just a second. I wrote it all down here. Where did I write it down at? But I know
like
narcissistic features, based borderline borderline something or other, and I can't remember what it was, but it was borderline personality disorder with borderline narcissistic features, I think is what the state hospital diagnosed her with.
Yeah, you're kind of like me this morning. My wife told me that I know her neighbor down the road had Alzheimer's. I said, yeah, but I forgot it.
Well, you got some Alzheimer's too, don't kicking in then.
Yeah, I mean, we all got that, I think. We forget our keys where it's at, and I think it's the time we're living. But anyhow, I know you're going to go on to Brian case.
Yeah.
And I'm still concerned about them not having enough on him to make a case that would put him away.
I actually think they do. I think people are expecting the the knife in his hand or find the knife. I don't think. I think this digital forensic is gonna be what makes him toast. I really do. I don't think it's gonna, because the eyewitnesses are they're lacking. They only have very generalized description. Nobody really saw anything, so they're going to be relying heavily on the forensics, the technology aspect of the case.
Well, have they ever determined when he actually was in the place, when he entered it?
Yeah, they believe he entered the house around 4:06 a.m. and left about right before 4:20, so about 4:18, 4:19 in the morning, because they see him driving off at 4:20.
So what time frame did he have?
I think it was 18 minutes. I think we timed it 18 minutes.
Well, I missed that segment on that, but anyhow, don't worry about forgetting things, Betty. That's part of it. We all got that, but I just wanted to give you a call and just tell you that I'm a hero listening and watching, and I try to keep up with you guys, and hope everybody has a blessed day.
Yes, yes. So what are you up to this week?
Well, I've got my mom. She's I'm fixing now to go fill up her meds for the week, and I've got to go pick up some groceries for her and go check on her. And I think we've had her home a week now, and she is deteriorating in her memory wise, and don't know how much longer or what we're going to be able to do. Everybody wants to come home. Everybody wants to be home.
Yeah.
But and nobody wants to look at that situation of what you can do and not. But
yeah,
that's in a nutshell. Yesterday,
you know what? You know what I hear from this. Well, God bless you. You still have your mama. First and foremost, and I really do hope she's feeling better.
Yeah. Well, we filmed yesterday. We tried to do filming on Wednesday for a little YouTube channel, and so we're trying to do a segment on it, and it's kind of tough right now trying to get the turkeys to cooperate and get a window of when I can take Travis and get film and get it on film.
Yeah.
Going out there in the woods and killing a turkey and not is one thing, but going out there and get it and put it on film and get the hunt on the film.
Yeah.
That is a total different character for me, because I'm not used to.
You know what? I'll tell you what you need to do. You need a chest plate and you need a GoPro.
Well, Travis got one he carries on his head there, and we try to do a blind in the blind. We using the phone and we're using the GoPros, but I'm thinking about using similar to what I used to film our YouTube messages.
Uh-huh.
It's like about $250. It's got a zoom on it, like a little Canon or Sony or one of those cameras.
Yeah.
But it's got a zoom on it and use an SD card. Same one that I use or same type that I use for our messages on Sunday. But anyhow, I'm thinking I'm going to need one of those to get more of a zoom than the GoPro's got. And the phone's got decent, but I want to be able to zoom it in. But yeah, we're trying. We still we're still pretty low on subscribers. I mean, I think we're doing good on people that's viewing it, but for the numbers subscribers, I mean, last week's we had 1,200 views.
Nice.
Yeah, and you know, that ain't bad.
Well, on the
I was
video,
looking at,
remind people if they like what they're seeing to like, share, and subscribe your content.
well, and that's what we try to do. But again, it's not it's a slow process. You
Yeah.
get people that, but there's certain things that I'm hoping to do, and I'm hoping one day to be able to interview you and get your story. I'm kind of I'm really want to do that. By the way, come to my mind and thinking about things you forget. I want to ask you this every time. Where's Olivia at? I haven't.
To be
heard
honest with
her.
you,
Oh,
she worked on another case. I don't even remember what case it was. She worked on another case, but she's just taking some downtime. This stuff, these videos stress her. They stress her out because it's a lot. You know, that people
yeah.
try to act like that editing is easy. The reason why you don't see beautiful videos from Bullhorn Betty is because it's not easy. It takes a lot of time, and it's time that I don't have to spend doing it, and it's stressful.
Well, I enjoy you two together because I think it's kind of like Travis and myself. Travis is you know, in his 30s, and he's got all this knowledge of technical. And I could say we need this, we need ideas, but he can take those ideas and kind of make it be magical. And I think he's doing it like she does. I think he's doing an excellent job too. But miss you guys together.
Yeah.
You tell,
well, you know what? I
you tell.
collaborate with a lot of different people, so there's the possibility
Yeah.
of, you know, the collaboration in the future. But definitely like to broaden my horizons and you know,
Yeah,
collaborate with new people and find new ways of doing things.
Well, I think the direction you're going, I can see growth for you. I can see that by what I've been watching from, well, the Kylie Rodney case that I've been watching. But yeah, God bless you all, and we'll talk to you later. And out of here.
I love it, Turkey Man. Have a great day. God bless. Sweet. That's sweet. And I saw, hold on. I believe I saw Karen call in. I'm calling Karen back now. At least I thought I was calling her back. There we go. We'll call Karen back. We saw she was calling in.
Good morning.
Good morning. I decided to call you back so you didn't have to try to fight the.
Oh, that's okay.
You're live. You're live though. You're live.
Yeah, I know. I'm watching. I didn't see any notifications. I kept checking this morning. I didn't go to bed till 4:00, and so I put my alarm up so I wouldn't miss you this morning. And I kept checking. Probably maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't have my glasses on, but I didn't see nothing.
I need to start setting them the night before because it's a pain in the butt to try to get up. I mean, I already know what I'm going to be talking about. Usually by the time I go to bed, I should have the, you know, thumbnail and everything up, but it's just, I never know if I might be sleeping well or not sleeping well.
I'm a nighthawk, so I'm like a dolly, you know, and I'm up all night. That's the only time I get to sit down. You know, I'm busy all day with the grandkid and running around, and it's crazy. He's got Tech Week this week with the theater that I told you about, so it's like he's in there every day, and he's up his show this weekend. So, but yeah, I went to bed at 4, and I'm like, all right, I better set my alarm so I'm up.
Right.
I kept checking, I didn't see nothing. But did you get to check that out last night? What I told you about? Because I got the questions if you're interested in them.
I can't even remember, to be honest with you. I probably did before I went.
I called you right after the live, remember?
Oh, you're talking about,
yes,
I went over there. That's how I was able to tell them what went on at the hearing. Yeah, I did.
Oh, you did say I missed it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know what I found out a couple of days ago, but I didn't want to say nothing in chat because I wasn't, you know, sure it was just a rumor, but I found out last night, it is true. You know that she's been shackled to the floor the whole time?
Who?
In court every day? Letitia.
Has she? No, I did not.
I heard it. Yeah, I heard it a couple times. I kept watching it to see the movements, and if you watch her the time, remember,
Hmm.
you'll see how she stands up and she's so straight. She never really fidgets around too much
Hmm.
sideways. And so it was true. When I was watching that thing last night, the girl confirmed it. The one that's been in court, one of them.
Hmm.
Yeah, so and that's probably why they blocked that out the other day. We got to see her starting to put the handcuffs on, and they blocked it out with a sheet.
Yeah.
Remember? And yeah, but yeah, she's been shackled. Her legs have been shackled to the floor.
Oh, good. I mean,
That's
it didn't have
yeah,
to be that way for her, but she wants to act a fool inside the courtroom, which is not going to do her. And it's not going to, no matter what you do, the courtroom is not the place that you have theatrics and antics. It's just not. It's not going to do you any good.
no. I think too, because of the escape stuff. You know what I mean?
No.
That might have been part of it too. I don't know if this changed afterwards and they didn't say nothing, but I don't know if it's been the whole trial. I think it has the way it sounds, but who knows? I don't know.
Hmm.
But this case is just. I followed this case like pretty much the first week, so I've been waiting for 3 years for this. So it's like,
Yeah.
it was just a build up. This case really got to me. This one, it's like Clinton's.
Yeah.
Because it was up close and personal. Clinton really, this case really got me. I mean, this poor kid.
I feel bad, and
She
not only
just,
that, but now that we look at it, I keep wondering how much more abuse she's perpetrated upon Gannon that was never said, that was never told to her, or his father, or anybody, because I can't imagine that she was nice to him. It sounds like she resented
well,
the boy.
yeah, it was funny because one of the questions from the jurors yesterday was, in what way will Letitia giving Gannon enemies impact her relationship with him? That was one of the questions.
Oh,
And Lewis said that,
I know.
yeah,
And then
you
the
can hear
other
it.
thing was
Yeah,
they said something, the lady, her actual witness actually said that, yeah, they get some sexual gratification out of it. And I'm thinking, so was
yeah.
she assault, like, abusing him in that way?
That's what the actually Lewis actually answered. Said that was molestation and a form of SA.
Yeah.
And I was surprised that she actually even said that. But I mean, when I'm thinking 11 years old, I mean, how many kids at 11 years old are going to never mind their mom, but their stepmother, do that to them? I mean, you think at that age they're already protecting their bodies and, they're,
Yeah, but I
you
mean, even
know,
12, I mean, I know that my mom's had to give me suppositories before and stuff like that. And,
yeah,
you don't think of that with a female. I mean, you just don't, females are
yeah,
universal. It doesn't matter what butt it is. It could be a boy butt or a girl butt.
yeah.
So
And
you
I
don't
found that
you
odd,
never equate that, but we have to open our minds and our brains that there are possibilities of everything. We can't close that aspect off, which we did. We didn't even explore it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I just found that, like, I thought it was like, she was talking about that episode when he was sick, but this was, she did it time and time and time again. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I wonder
It's
if
like I
that's why
found
he
that
was, we keep wondering about that bleeding and stuff like that.
the bleeding. Well, that's what came up about it too. Was like, is that what she was talking about? But it's funny because you watch the trial and you listen to it, and I mean, when someone, especially murders, right? They got to get a story. So what they do, they take the truth, they take the base of the story, and they work their way around it. So there's always truth. It's like an Alex, you know what I mean?
Yep.
There's always truth around it. So you pick up the truth with her, and because it's the way she lies, she's a compulsive liar. But yet they have to have some truth to be able to build their story, and so the truth always does come out in a lot of it. And I know they were talking about when she was talking yesterday about I don't know who she was at this time, Tom, Joe, or whoever, but she was talking about how when she was stabbing him and the breathing, the noise it made. They said that Landon was so visibly shaken. She was shaken in the gallery, and the guards, I think like 4 or 5 of them went over to her, and they had to literally escort her out. She was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Just listen to that testimony. I guess she didn't, they didn't warn them that it was coming. But yeah, and I was right. I said no. Every time you did a poll, I said no. She's not going to testify. I said, what a surprise if she did. But my aspect on that was from the beginning, because I followed her. She never wanted to be like when her first court date. She was hiding behind the woman lawyer. I don't know if you've seen the beginning part of this story. She kept hiding behind a lawyer. You know, she didn't want the cameras to see her. Then she refused to come to court every time. And she's really not going along, helping, working, being part of her case. She's always, down and out of it. So I kind of figured when I seen that, I'm like, I don't think she's gonna take the thing. She don't want to really face anybody, She's got her back with everyone now, and I just figured she didn't want to face the family and stuff. That was my reason why I always said no. But wouldn't surprise her if she didn't. But I don't think she would have been able to pull that what she did with the interviews, the same as she would on the stand, But and then on Alec, I found out. Well, I don't know if you know this. Did you know that he came out and said that he lied about Gloria?
Yes.
And that
yes,
the dog
I did.
was never there. Oh yeah, I know you did something, but I don't know if you had said that part. Yeah, that she wasn't even there working at the time, and that he only did it because for the money to do the lawsuit. But
That's gonna be hard because
that's
didn't
a
the
lie.
ambulance come to his house to get her?
Yeah, he just said she wasn't working at the time. I don't know. And then, because I found it weird, I'm like, okay, they found her there. They called in. And so now he's trying to say, oh, yeah, the dogs weren't even on the property and she wasn't working at the time. He only did it for financial gain. But like whoever reported on it, I don't remember. I was watching it last night. I guess when it came on Twitter, saying that obviously he's just lying because they're trying to get out of the money situation.
I think he's using it as a tactic to try to punish them because they came and spoke to him, or they helped solidify his conviction. I mean, it was a pretty powerful testimony from Gloria's son.
Yeah, that case. And I know the is it Corey Fleming, the one that was in with him, he's going to trial September 11th already.
Yeah.
He's already got his date, yeah.
And it's sad because these people were hook, line, and sinker with Alec. He was an attorney. They didn't think that he would ever violate the law or risk it. Like I say, nobody's going to risk their law license. But, obviously Alec does and did.
Yep. Yeah. Even the firm's trying to fight it because they don't want to dish out the money, his law firm. But I'll probably go down, take a ride when that happens. And the thing I like about that case that we always try to find out is when they walk in. I mean, he walks right by you.
Yeah.
I wish every defendant had to do that. How awesome would that be?
Right. Well, I'll be there for his financial crimes. That's for sure. I'll be back at the court.
Yeah.
For all of that stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna go down this time and check it out a few days.
Right.
But yeah, I just feel like calling in and say hello. And I didn't know I missed the beginning, so I wasn't sure if you knew about the questions. I wrote all the questions down but except for number 7,
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, I mean, I think the sentiments were the takeaways from the questioning from the jury was that they didn't really believe her. The questions were mocking in nature, in my opinion. And
yeah, they didn't believe her.
Yeah, and I think that that her testimony didn't do anything but help the state. And I think she was the wrong witness for them. But I know Letitia at this point, and maybe it was by design because they knew they didn't have a way to save Letitia. Maybe they were setting this entire trial up for an appeal for ineffectiveness of counsel.
Yeah, maybe that's why she didn't testify too, because she would have testified. Appeal would make it harder for her.
Yeah.
But
and the fact that her counsel never really they didn't object enough, in my opinion. They didn't cross-examine enough, in my opinion. They just took everything. They were just lazy, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I just think they knew they screwed up. And I mean, when they said that there was videos out, all them hours, and that the defense didn't put them, like, why wouldn't the defense put them up there? We obviously found out why. But I mean, hey, she hired the two first attorneys. She probably should have kept them.
Yeah.
But it was just a stall tactic. She stalled as long as she could, and figured people would probably maybe get disinterested in the case. Going from finding attorneys.
It's harder to do an appeal when you do a plea deal. So she had to take this to trial. So she's going to definitely.
Yeah.
This is going to be something that's fought in the courts for years to come. I can guarantee that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, every case, you get they always appeal.
Yeah.
Most of them. This one will be no different. Hopefully she won't get it, but I mean, most people don't. So who knows? I mean, this was, in my opinion, it was premeditated. You know what I mean? And the DA definitely had motive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it goes back to she was when she first met him, and I mean she was on the same softball team with Landon, so they were friends. And then they kind of weren't doing so good, and then she started seeing him. He was still married and had no kids. And her goal was she wanted to travel. She wanted to travel. She was into fashion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And her daughter was already older. She didn't want to raise any more kids. They didn't get the kids till later after they were married.
Yeah.
And then that just ruined their life. You know what I mean? And she really took it out on wanted to blame and punish Al and Landon over it. And
Right.
and there's always one that they target, and I guess Gandon seemed to be the one. But there are a lot of videos out. In the beginning, there was an incident. So she actually Al caught her with her hands around Holly's listen to me, throat, and he had to stop her. And then there was another incident where she had laying his face in the rug. So there were some things. It didn't come out in court. I don't know why, but
They were probably
and
prejudicial
I know.
and didn't.
Yeah. So she did have some things. She was one of them you didn't cross.
Yeah.
She was, yeah. But anyway, I'm starting to hear closing arguments. And what do you think? You think this is going to beat the timeline, the time in Alex Murdoch's case, and be like a quick verdict?
What was the
Because
question?
according
I'm
to the
sorry, I didn't
questions,
hear you.
according to the questions, none of the jurors, they're all the questions that they answered. They don't believe nothing with this witness.
No.
And I'm just wondering how fast you think the verdict's going to be. You think it's
I
going
think
to
it's
be Alex verdict 4 hours?
you missed it this morning. So my opinion on it is that once they finish up with their closing arguments and the jury is tasked with the deliberation, I believe if that happens on Friday, we'll have an answer on Friday. I don't think this is going to be going to be deliberated very long. I think the proof is in the pudding. I don't the jury, I have to think, are normal people like we are. They think similar to we don't all think the same, but similar. We process information,
right.
And the bottom line is that I think the state they showed their case, so they did their case very well, and I think she's going to be convicted.
Let's say it was actually a trial. I'm not going to say you can enjoy because what the situation was and what it was about, but I mean it was so much. I mean, when I watch Al Murdoch's case, my blood would boil because
keep talking. I'm listening, but I'm going to mark. Go ahead.
Okay.
Keep talking.
Like watching the Al Murdoch trial, your blood boiled because the tactics of the two, the lawyers, especially the defense, was like, who's better than who, and they're fighting each other, and it was just dramatic. This one, the two lawyers respectfully pretty much got along, you know what I mean? And it was nice to see a trial like that, you know what I mean? It didn't get your blood pressure up, like the Alex Murdoch trial did, the way Mr. Poot Poot wanted to be, the big show of the trial. And so I did enjoy it in that aspect that, at least they got along pretty much, and there was no baloney going on in the courtroom,
Yeah.
You don't see too many trials like that, but I mean, I found that it was a little bit easier, less stressful to watch as far as that part of it.
Gotcha.
But yeah. Anyway, I'm dying to see your hair.
I know. I can't wait.
I'll be waiting.
10 o'clock. We got 2 hours. Probably about 3.5 hours before it's all done.
It's funny because we were talking about that when you were here last time. You were talking about your hair. I'm like, yeah, that'd be a good idea. You were going back and forth with it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I guess she's finally going to get it done.
Yeah. Well, I've been going to the hairdresser for quite some time now, and it's still fun because people are like, she needs to get out of her box of bleach. Oh my God. Why are you so concerned about my hair?
I like the blonde. But a little bit, yeah. I mean, I know you're not gonna go crazy. I mean,
No, I'm putting some light pink in here. We'll see how heavy the light pink is by the time we're done. I don't know. I'm leaving it to the audience and the hairdresser.
No, I think the light pink looks awesome.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll let you go. I just said I'd touch base because, like I said, I missed the beginning of your live, so I wasn't sure if you got to see any of that, stuff that I was talking about last night.
Yeah, I did. I stopped. I just, when you were talking about it, I'm like, my brain was just in like blah mode or something. But yes, I remember as soon as I got off the phone with you, now that I recall, yes, I went right on and watched it.
Yeah, I kind of figured. All right, I'll let you go, hon. You have a nice day.
Bye-bye.
I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
All right. So I turned the phones off just for a minute, and people are trying to figure out what she's talking about related to the Satterfield case, as well as Alec Murdaugh. So I'm going to go ahead and play it for you. I'm going to play a portion of it for you. If you guys want to watch it, you guys can go back to the channel and watch it. And actually, it'd be great because the numbers on this particular one didn't do too well. I mean, we're up. Well, I guess it's okay. I mean, some of the stuff it's no consequence for me. So let me go ahead and put this up here, and we'll go ahead and play it for you guys. Let me go back. I'm just gonna play that. So, hey guys, many of you know I have been following the Alec Murdaugh case very closely, and this is in Low Country, South Carolina. This is a case of a prominent South Carolina attorney stealing from his clients, killing his wife and son, and then attempting this suicide plot against himself, just all foiled and blew up in his face. If you're not familiar with the Alec Murdaugh case or situation, here's kind of a brief rundown of events. In 2015, a boy by the name of Stephen Smith was found in the middle of the road from what apparent hit and run accident. His mother never, ever, ever believed for 1 minute that her son was hit by a car. Something else was going on. The Murdaugh family was named over 40 times during the initial investigation. Although the case was ruled an accident, it has been reopened and Stephen Smith's body has been exhumed. In 2018, Gloria Satterfield, a longtime housekeeper of the Murdaughs, suddenly tripped in their home, apparently. And she was taken to the hospital where she later died sometime later after this apparent fall in this house. Alec Murdaugh talked to her sons. Again, they were like family, been in the family for about 30 years. Gloria was inside their home and an employee of theirs, a very long relationship with Gloria Satterfield. And the boys knew her because she was their nanny at one moment in time.
She's now dead, and Alec reaches out to her sons and says that he's going to sue himself, and this was all concocted. Long story short, Alec Murdaugh was successful in the lawsuit against himself with the help of another friend attorney. However, the boys never received any of those funds. Alec Murdaugh stole that money from them unbeknownst to them, along with hundreds of other clients of his that he stole money from. He currently has 20 indictments and over 100 financial crime charges currently against him right now that still need to be adjudicated. However, in 2019, his son Paul took a boat out and got drunk and ended up killing a young lady by the name of Mallory Beach.
This is the person that lost their life in the boating accident,
which set off this chain reaction of events that was about to expose Alec Murdaugh's financial crimes. It was getting very close to a motion to compel in that civil action against Alec Murdaugh and Paul Murdaugh for the death of Mallory Beach. Then in 2020, shortly after him receiving the motion to compel, his wife and son were brutally murdered on their property in Moselle. Alec Murdaugh went to trial for that case, and he lost his trial and was convicted of a double homicide, and his sentence was life in prison. Now we're finding out, and also through the trial of Alec Murdaugh in the murder case, one of the Satterfield sons spoke as a witness for the state in what happened to him and how Alec conned him out of so much money unbeknownst to him. The lawsuit between the Satterfield boys and the law firm that Alec worked for ended up settling with them for $6 million. And now we're learning that it is possible that the Satterfield boys will have to pay that money back. Take a look at this tweet from on Twitter.
OMG. This would be absolutely terrible.
This morning I'm looking here on Twitter, and this is a tweet from Sarah. It says, breaking news on Alex Murdaugh. In his answer to an amended complaint in a lawsuit by Nautilus, which is the insurance company that paid the settlement, the Satterfield settlement against Murdaugh and co-defendants, Murdaugh admits that Gloria Satterfield was not pushed down the stairs by the Murdaugh dogs. This essentially makes the insurance claim fraudulent and the death ineligible for settlement monies paid to the Satterfield sons via their lawyer. Cause for concern, ? The settlement monies may have to be paid back by the Satterfield sons and their attorneys. What do you make of this? Defendant admits to allegations 17A and 17B. No dogs were involved in the fall of Gloria Satterfield on February 2nd, 2018. After Miss Satterfield's death, defendant invested Miss Satterfield purported statement that the dogs caused her fall to force his insurance to make a settlement payment, and he stated that she was not on the property to perform work. What do you think of that? What do you make of that? Is that wrong? And do we really believe Alec Murdaugh? Alec Murdaugh is one of those compulsive liars. He knows that the Satterfield boys did damage at his trial. Is this a way for him to kind of get back at the boys? Is this a joke? Did this happen? Is it possible that Alec Murdaugh himself pushed her down the stairs? So a lot is going on in this case. I'm almost sickened for the Satterfield boys right now to even be thinking that it is possible that any of this money has to be paid back at the word of Alec Murdaugh, because he says in a statement that this didn't happen or that didn't happen. This man has been proven to be a compulsive liar. Do we believe him in this response? Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Bullhorn Betty channel. And until next time, please be safe and kind to one another. God bless you.
All right, so there you have. That was what Karen was discussing on there about the Satterfield boys and this whole allegation now that she wasn't even on the job yet. The ambulance came to their house, right? Either way, a slip and fall on somebody's property is a slip and fall on somebody's property. Whether the dogs did it or whether it was water on the floor, they didn't take necessary precautions to make sure she was safe. And not only that, but I find it very odd. She was an employee of theirs for many years. She's never had any kind of altercation or any kind of slip and fall in the past. Why would this one be the one that did her in? It's just odd. It's odd for me that I don't know how to explain it other than how odd it is. Let me just take a moment because I want to get the stuff out for Kohberger. We know we've got the hearing coming up. There's a lot of stuff that we haven't been able to really discuss because we've been dealing with the trial. So we're going to kind of switch gears here now and go to the beginning of this case and what we know to be true. And we're going to be discussing some of the other stuff on this case as well. Let me get that pulled up for you. I probably should have had it all pulled up, but I didn't. So we've got a lot of new filings in the case for Brian Kohberger. And so I want to go through some of those things with you here this morning, and then we're going to kind of discuss. Good morning, May. I see you in here. I see a few other faces that came in. Princess Megan Elsa, nice to see you. Just Samantha. So how did she really die? That's a great question, Just Samantha. I don't know that. I'm unsure. But you know what? When he kind of took over the case and was talking to the boys, and knowing that he was struggling and needed that money, Alec himself needed that money. It almost makes me feel like whatever happened to Gloria was done at his hands, by his hands. We know he has no problem killing somebody. He killed the two people that if he can kill his own son and his wife that he's been with forever, if he can do that, if he's capable of that, he's capable of anything. That's my position on that. He is literally capable of anything. Well, hello, Scorpio. It's nice to see you, love. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Alex has no conscience. No, he does not. He does not. What day is it? It's Thursday. It's not quite Friday, May. We're waiting for Friday, but just not quite there yet. So what do we have in the Brian Kohberger case? So the new stuff that we have here, May 1st, is the declaration of Olson in support of motion. So let's go ahead and just go in there and see what that says and go through this particular declaration. So declaration of Wendy Olson in support of motion to vacate amended non-dissemination order, and says, I, Wendy Olson, declare as follows. I'm a partner with the law firm of Stoll Rivers LLP, counsel for petitioners in the above captioned matter. As such, I have personal knowledge of facts and statement contained in this declaration. I submit this declaration in support of the motion to vacate or amend the amended non-dissemination order. And she has attachments. I don't know if the attachments are, the attachments look like they're on here because this is a 46-page document. So she's saying all these attachments, let's get past the attachments. During the course of representing the media outlets who are challenging this court's gag order, I have been informed of the following by them. A victim's family wants to speak with the press about Mr. Kohberger's prosecution, but they feel bound by the gag order. B, Major Chris Paris of the Pennsylvania State Police told reporter Chris Ingalls that he could not answer whether police had launched a review of unsolved cases that could be linked to Mr. Kohberger because of the gag order. C, Moscow Major Art Beck, I can't pronounce the last name, Bettge, told reporter Erica Zuko that the city attorney advised he could not answer questions about the overall community healing in Moscow because of the gag order. So this is, oh, you guys can't see this. Hold on, let me share this. There you go. Sorry, I didn't realize you guys couldn't see what I was reading. Journalist Taylor, so they're listing all of these examples of how this gag order is preventing them from doing their job and literally hindering their constitutional rights. And that's what they're listing here. Journalist Taylor, I can't pronounce his last name, public record requests were denied by Latah County Sheriff's Office, Moscow Police Department, Pullman Police Department, and Washington State Police Department because of the gag order. Gary Jenkins, Chief of Police at Washington State University, and Matt Young, Communications Coordinator for the city of Pullman, told reporter Morgan Romero that they could not answer whether Mr. Kohberger applied for a graduate assistant research position with the Pullman Police Department because of the gag order. The Moscow Police Department refused to advise a reporter from the Idaho Statement how many cell phone towers are in the area near where the murders occurred, the size of Mr. Kohberger's phone, the size of the Moscow jail, and the nature of Kohberger's meals because of the gag order. Stuff that is completely irrelevant to the case. They can't even get a response on. Law and crime reporter Anjanette Levy was denied access to Kohberger's booking video from the Latah Sheriff's Office because of the court's non-dissemination order. I declare under penalty of perjury under the laws of the state of Idaho that the foregoing is true and correct. And that came from the attorney's, a statement from the attorney's intervener for the media. And it goes through all this, the first order of stipulation, which we know what's in there. The amended order, is this the amended, hold on, which one's the amended order? The stipulation, and then they go to the actual order, the first order. And then they go to another stipulation. And the following Zoom meeting, and this is the redacted conversation that they had, you know, in secret with all the attorneys, but was not public or made public. D is the amended non-dissemination order based upon that meeting. Memorandum in support. So then they're bringing in the state, and this I believe is the one from Shannon Gray, which is the attorneys for the Gonzalez family. So they've added that. And then complaint for declaratory relief. And this was Whitman County. This is another order in there. We need to probably read that, but they're referencing, they're showing all of their exhibits here. So they're, I mean, this is a 46, and that was it. This is a 46-page declaration in motion to support the removal of the non-dissemination order. And then we got a few memorandums that we're going to go ahead and read on here as well. Oh, I just dropped this. I got to be careful how I do these things. There we go. There we go. So make this a little bit bigger for you. So this is in support of a motion to intervene. Interveners are a coalition of media companies that, but for the amended non-dissemination order January 18th, 2023, would gather more information about Mr. Kohberger's arrest and prosecution, and then make editorial decisions about whether and when to publish that information. The state and Mr. Kohberger, the parties, stipulated to what ultimately became a gag order. and interveners are not given an opportunity to submit any written or oral objections in the approximately 1 hour between the parties submitting their stipulation and the court issuing the original gag order in this case. Because the gag order violates the intervener's rights under the U.S. and Idaho Constitution, they petitioned the Idaho Supreme Court to vacate the gag order. Last week, the Idaho Supreme Court held that vague, overbroad, unduly restrictive, not narrowly drawn gag order is an unconstitutional obstacle to interveners gathering information in this case. But and I tried pointing that out. Remember, I pointed all this stuff out to you guys. So now these attorneys are picking up on the same stuff that I got out of that Supreme Court opinion, and they are applying it here to challenge this non-dissemination order. But on procedural grounds, which I said procedural grounds, but on procedural grounds, the Idaho Supreme Court decided that the court should not have a chance in the first instance to vacate the gag order. That is, the Idaho Supreme Court declined to exercise its original jurisdiction because the interveners have an available remedy. The Idaho Supreme Court acknowledged that Idaho's rule of criminal procedures do not provide specific mechanisms for third parties to intervene in criminal cases, but they observe that both state and federal courts often permit the media to intervene in criminal cases on limited basis, or at least file a motion of interested party in the defense of public access and free speech, including in Idaho. Following the Idaho Supreme Court's decision to first seek relief before this court, interveners now move to intervene for the limited purpose of contemporaneously filing their motion to vacate the amended non-dissemination order. And we have another memorandum as well, and I don't know what's in this one either, so we'll pull this up here. And this is a memorandum in support to vacate. And it just does an introduction. Wow, this is much longer. This is 28 page. I don't know who this is from, though. Who is this from? Oh, I think that's just part of their motion to vacate and amend the non-dissemination order. And they're going through the introduction, the background, and all this other stuff. Let me see what else is in here. We might just read the whole thing. I'm not sure yet. Argument. We know the details of the case. The argument's pretty lengthy. Maybe we'll just focus on the argument. The God should retreat the gag order prior to restraint. Yeah, let's go ahead and read. I think we'll read. I'm not going to read all of this. It's 28 pages. It'd take us like hours to read all of this, but let's read some of this. I wouldn't mind going back to, we know what's in the introduction. We know the background. I think at this point we know the background of this. So let's just go to the argument portion of it. This is the most lengthy portion of this motion in support, but argument is justice cannot survive beyond the walls of silence is the starting of their argument. For that reason, a responsible press has already been regarded as handmaiden of effective judicial administration, especially in criminal field. The press does not simply publish information about trial, but guards against miscarriage of justice by subjecting the police, prosecutors, and judicial process to extensive public scrutiny and criticism. Memorandum in support of the motion to vacate the amended non-dissemination order 5, First Amendment, thus indeed to give to liberty of the press the broadest scope that could be, countenanced in orderly society. To be sure, an orderly society also considers a criminal defendant's right to a fair trial. But when balancing the interest, First Amendment protections do not yield until they infringe the Sixth Amendment. So they're basically saying what they mean by that sentence alone, the First Amendment protections do not yield until they infringe on the Sixth Amendment. So what they're saying is that they are making things they are restricting First Amendment before it's even affecting the Sixth Amendment. And they're saying here it has to affect it first before you can infringe on people's First Amendment rights to freedom of speech. And it's not been infringed on. There is no presumption that speech is prejudiced to criminal defendants or that more speech necessary means less fair trial. To the contrary, the U.S. Supreme Court precedent demonstrates that pretrial publicity, even pervasive, adverse publicity, does not inevitably lead to an unfair trial. And even when speech is prejudiced to criminal defendant, it only in relatively rare cases does pretrial publicity present unmanageable threats. So they're saying that that it has happened in the past, but it's such on a rare occurrence that it's not something that necessarily needs to be protected against until it's time to protect it against it. Many mitigating measures exist, including change of venue, trial postponement, a searching voir dire, an empathic jury instruction, and sequestration of jurors. And we all discussed this as less restrictive measures than this broad non-dissemination order. We talked about this months ago, remember? So again, when it comes to this kind of stuff, it's stuff that I understand. I knew that this was going to be issues that were going to be brought up, and here they are actually being brought up. To ensure a proper balance between the First and the Sixth Amendments, a party requesting a gag order must present evidence that the prohibited speech presents a significant risk of prejudice to a fair trial, and that none of the other alternative remedies which do not prohibit speech are sufficient to present or remedy the prejudice. And we talked about that. Remember, I said this is not going to rise to legal muster when they have to explain to the Supreme Court why they didn't use less restrictive measures first before having this wide sweeping gag order. And they're never going to overcome that because they didn't try anything else first. We discussed that on here months ago. The gag order violates the First Amendment because it's vague, overbroad, unduly restrictive, and not narrowly drawn. The gag order broadly prohibits any statements any statements concerning this case. It says concerning. And just because it concerns the case doesn't mean it's relevant in the case. And so she's even preventing that kind of speech. So they're saying that's overbroad. I have to agree concerning this case. That prohibition is much broader than Idaho Rule of Professional Conduct 3.6, and it's broader than the regulation of speech described by the U.S. Supreme Court in Shepherd, Nebraska Press, and Gentile. There is no evidence that every statement concerning Mr. Kohberger's prosecution poses a substantial risk to his right to a fair trial, nor there any evidence that other less restrictive measures could not prevent or remedy any prejudice. As a result, the gag order violates the U.S. Constitution and the Idaho Constitution. 1, the gag order far exceeds the Idaho Rule for Professional Conduct 3.6. Footnote 1 of the gag order cites Idaho Rule of Professional Conduct 3.6. It is unclear whether the citation is intended to suggest that the gag order mirrors 3.6. Even if that were the case, the parties need to explain why Idaho State Bar enforcement of Rule 3.6 is insufficient, such that the court order and the penalty of contempt are necessary. Those more severe penalties present a unique chilling effect that will reduce speech that does not violate Rule 3.6. In any event, the gag order does not mirror 3.6. The gag order is far broader. It prohibits more topics of speech and governs a wider range of individuals. The gag order broadly prohibits any statements about Mr. Kohberger's prosecution. Rule 3.6 is carefully crafted to regulate the narrow set of topics that are most likely to be prejudicial. It regulates speech that will have substantial likelihood of material prejudice in an adjudicative proceeding in the matter. LRPC 3.6a. A rule, thank you, Jennifer L. Bunch of meetings after me, LOL. They're teasing me, giving me F's today. FYI, it's all Mama Llama's fault. That's cute. That's cute. So IRPC 3.6a rule comment explains that there are certain subjects that are more likely not to have material prejudice effects on a proceeding, such as character, credibility, reputation, or criminal record of a party. The possibility of a plea of guilt to an offense, or the existence or contents of any confession, admission, or statement given by the defendant, the performance or results of any examination or test, or the refusal or failure of person to submit to an examination or test, and any opinion as to the guilt or innocence of the defendant. By contrast, the gag order is not tailored at all. Section 1 of the gag order prohibits any extrajudicial statement, written or oral, concerning the case. Memorandum in support of motion to vacate the admitted non-dissemination. Oh, excuse me. That was just the title of it. So it says right here concerning the case, and it says Olson Declaration Exhibit D, Section 2, offers example of prohibited speech, but it does not say those examples are exhaustive or limited to the general prohibition of any statement concerning this case. As a result, the gag order prohibits all statements about Mr. Kohberger's prosecution, even statements that could help him secure a fair trial. Unsurprisingly, then, individuals have said the gag order prohibits them from making comments of innocuous, I can't even pronounce this, innocuous, innocuous, there he goes, innocuous, prohibits them from making comments or innocuous topics like how the Moscow community is healing, how many cell phone towers are in the area where the murder occurred, the size of Mr. Kohberger's phones, the meals that Mr. Kohberger receives, and Kohberger's job applications to Pullman Police Department. Even without the sweeping prohibition in Section 1, Section 2 of the gag order does not precisely mirror 3.6 commentary. For example, Section 2A prohibits speech on evidence regarding the occurrence or transactions involved in the case, which is broader than the commentary concerned about speech related to the identity or nature of physical evidence expected to be presented. IRPC 3.6, it says CMT 5, Section 2D prohibits speech about any opinions as the merits of the case or the claims or defense of the party, which is broader than the commentary concerning related speech about any opinions as to the guilt or innocence of the defendant, which is also covered under Section 2F, suggesting Section 2D is intended to granulate something different and broader. B, the gag order prohibits speech from a broad, vague group of individuals. The gag order targets the attorneys for any interested party in the case, including prosecutors' attorneys, defense attorneys, and any attorneys representing a witness, victims, or victim's family, as well as parties to the above entitled action, including but not limited to investigators, law enforcement personnel, and agents for prosecuting attorneys or defense attorneys. To start that group of individuals, that group of individuals is vague. Although the gag order expressly identifies certain types of people, that list is not exhaustive because the phrase included but not limited to, remember this is something that the Supreme Court also pulled out, limited to. As a result, others like the victim's family, law enforcement outside the state of Idaho, must guess whether they are subject to the gag order. That guessing game renders the gag order unconstitutionally vague, and it also exceeds the court's jurisdiction. as the court cannot bind individuals who are not before it and who reside outside of Idaho. Great, great point. People that are not even under Idaho law are being affected by this gag order in Idaho. They're saying it's overly broad, it's entirely too vague, and it must be fixed. The group of individuals is also overbroad. In contrast, the gag order rule 3.6 governs attorneys only, and specifically those attorneys admitted to practice in Idaho. 3.8 demonstrates that limitation. It requires a prosecutor to exercise reasonable care to prevent investigators, law enforcement personnel, employees, or other persons assisting or associated with the prosecutor in a criminal case from making statements that prosecutors could not make under Rule 3.6. That is, Rule 3.8 operates indirectly through the prosecutor. It does not apply directly to an investigator or law enforcement because they are not lawyers admitted in Idaho. Nor does Rule 3.8 address the defense attorney, the defense investigators or agents, or the attorney or agents of the victim's family. The gag order, by contrast, applies to both the prosecution and the defense and directly regulates those who are not subject to the Idaho rules of professional conduct. The U.S. Supreme Court precedent counsel in favor of vacating a gag order. The court cited 3 U.S. Supreme Court decisions in footnotes of the gag order: Shepherd, Nebraska Press, and Gentile. While those cases acknowledge the proprietary of regulating some speech from lawyers in pretrial or in trial participants, they are also explain the findings of prejudice and the narrow tailoring that are required before prohibiting speech. The party stipulation and the gag order ignore those principles. Taking the case in order, the U.S. Supreme Court first decided Shepherd versus Maxwell. A prisoner challenged a conviction, arguing that he did not receive a fair trial because of publicity before, during his trial. For example, Shepherd jurors were subjected to newspaper, radio, television coverage of the trial while not taking part in the proceeding. 3 months before trial, Shepherd was examined for more than 5 hours without counsel, which was televised live from high school gymnasium, seating hundreds of people. During the trial, the lower court erected the press table for reporters inside the bar, where some 20 reporters sat within a few feet of the jury box. The lower court also assigned almost all of the available seats in the courtroom to news media. Together, those decisions interfered with the privacy and the tranquility of the defendants and the witnesses at the jury during the trial. As a result of those facts, the court held Shepherd did not receive a fair trial consistent with the due process clause of the 14th Amendment. In support of holding, the court note the trial judge failure to prevent or remedy any prejudice to Shepherd using remedies such as continuance of trial, sequestration of jury, and control of the courtroom. Interveners acknowledged that one potential measure the court mentioned was the trial court might well have prescribed extrajudicial statements by any lawyer, party, witness, or official which divulged prejudicial matters, such as refusal of Shepherd to submit to interrogatories or take a lie detector test. Any statements made by Shepherd to officials, the identity of prospective witnesses or their probable testimony, any belief in guilt or innocent, or like statements concerning the merit of the case. But that observation does not compel maintain the gag order. To start, Shepherd is a due process case, not a First Amendment case. Nobody appeared to argue that the prescription suggested by the court would violate the First Amendment, so the court did not decide that issue. Shepherd also largely addressed conduct during trial, which for now is not at issue, and Mr. Kohberger's trial has not even been set, and is likely many months or years away. And to be clear, interveners do not seek to conduct an out-of-court examination of Mr. Kohberger or sit within the bar at Mr. Kohberger's trial. While those stark legal and factual difference means Shepard is not controlling, more importantly, the gag order here is not a hypothetical order that Shepard described. The court contemplated the order limiting speech on a prejudicial matter, such as the refusal of Shepard to submit to interrogatories or take a lie detector test, and any statement made by Shepard to those officials, the identity and prospective witnesses, and their probable testimony and or belief of guilt, blah, 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 blah. The order is much broader. It prohibits any statements concerning this case, regardless of how likely or unlikely that statement will prejudice or be helpful to Mr. Kohberger. The court decided Nebraska Press Association versus Stewart. The gag order there prohibited statements about the existence and nature of any confession or admission made by the defendant to law enforcement agents, B, any confessions or admissions made to a third party except members of the press, and C, other facts strongly implicative of the accused. Even with the narrow scope of the prohibition, the court held that gag order was unconstitutional. While drawing the conclusion, the court explained three principles relevant here. First, the First Amendment and the Sixth Amendment are entitled to equal protection, as the court explained. Second, the related principle is the court should consider other measures before issuing a gag order. That's going to be important moving forward, because that is the standard. And this is why I have a problem. Everybody kept getting up and saying, oh, I'm just nosy. I'm just nosy. Remember when all these gag orders started coming out? And I'm like, this is unconstitutional, folks. This is super, super unconstitutional. And everybody was just, teasing me. The hate channels were teasing me for complaining about these gag orders and everything and how they're to keep me out. Like I'm the most important person in this world. But the bottom line is that by them failing to exercise other less restrictive means of controlling the information, they are violating the Constitution, because that is a requirement. They have to try other less restrictive means. They can't go directly to a gag order, which many of these courts are jumping over that. So they're unconstitutional. So let me read that again. The second and related principle is that courts should consider other measures before issuing a gag order. The court endorses many alternatives, such as change of trial venue to place less exposed to a place less exposed to the intense publicity that seems to imminent in the Lincoln County, the postponement of trial to allow public attention to subside, searching questions for prospective jurors, and Mr. Chief, and it says, as Mr. Chief Justice Marshall used in the Burr case on screen to screen out those, sorry, it's starting to run together, to screen out those fixed opinions as guilt or innocent, and D, to use emphatic and clear instructions on swore duty of each juror to decide the issues only on evidence presented in open court, and E, which is the sequestration of jury. So they have other remedies of law that they can use and have chose not to. So the next one is, lastly, the court decided Gentile, the Florida Bar of Nevada. There, an attorney challenged the disciplinary actions taken against him for allegedly violating Nevada's equivalent of Idaho rule of professional conduct. Like the Idaho rule, the Nevada rule prohibits attorney from making extrajudicial statements that a reasonable person would expect to be disseminated by the means of public communication if the lawyer knows or reasonably should know that it will have substantial likelihood of materially prejudicing an adjudicative proceeding. The courts held that the rule was unconstitutional as interpreted and applied in Nevada. The court's decision was fractured, but Part 2 of Justice Chief Justice Rehnquist's opinion garnered a majority and is relevant here. Chief Justice Rehnquist first observed that by default, the First Amendment requires showing of clear and present danger by malfunction in the criminal justice system will be caused. In the criminal justice system will be caused before the state may prohibit media speech and publication about particular pending trials. That said, the law imposes a less demanding standard for regulating speech of lawyers representing clients in pending cases because those lawyers are participants in the criminal justice system, and thus the state may demand some adherence to the precepts of the system. A substantial likelihood of material prejudice test satisfies that less demanding standard as it imposes only narrow and necessary limitations. So again, this is going through the argument of the media right here, and so far it has been pretty spot on. The court should treat the gag order as prior restraint and apply strict scrutiny. So they're saying, consistent with the principles articulated in Shepherd, Nebraska, and Gentile, the court should treat the gag order as prior restraint and vacate it because the party's request does not survive strict scrutiny. The gag order is a prior restraint. Speech presupposes a speaker and recipient via Virginia State Pharmacy versus Citizens, VA Citizens Consumer Council. Without one, there cannot be the other. We recognize that without some protection for seeking out news, freedom of press could be eviscerated. So the right to speech necessarily protects the right to receive information and ideas. There is thus constitutionally guaranteed rights as member of press to gather the news. The gag order restrains the constitutional rights before it can be exercised. Interveners do not make the news, they report the news. They cannot report what they cannot gather. Here, there are many sources of newsworthy information that, but for the amended gag order, would provide information to interveners, and interveners would then make editorial decisions about whether and when to publish. Interveners' speech is thus being restrained before they can even speak. That is the definition of prior restraint. If the gag order is a prior restraint, then it is subject to strict scrutiny. The court should reject the fiction that the gag order directed at the trial participant does not restrain the press. So it's going on here. Let's see if I can find any other highlighted spots that I would be interested in reading here. The court should apply strict scrutiny if it is not, even if it does not find that the gag order is a prior restraint. I don't feel like reading that. The gag order fails under less exacting scrutiny. I'll read through all that and come back with you guys. The gag order violates the Constitution for the same reasons. In conclusion, the interveners request that the court vacate the gag order because it violates U.S. Constitution and Idaho Constitution. So there you have it, guys. There's the breakdown of this gag order. There's a couple more things on this motion to vacate the amended. Let's see what this is. Let's read this here real quick. And this is the motion to vacate the amended non-dissemination order. Okay, this is small, so we'll just read what they've got here. Last week, the Idaho Supreme Court held that a vague, overbroad, unduly restrictive, or not narrowly drawn gag order is an unconstitutional obstacle to interveners gathering information about the case. In re petition for writ of mandamus and writ of prohibition number 40582, 2023 WL 3050829 at 5 Idaho, April 24, 2023. But on procedural grounds, the Supreme Court decided that this court should have a chance in the first instance to vacate the amended non-dissemination order entered January 18, 2023, identified as the gag order, following the Supreme Court's guidance and for the reasons provided in the accompanying memorandum. Interveners are now asked this court to vacate the gag order because it's vague, overbroad, unduly restrictive, and not narrowly drawn. And lastly, I'm going to see if there's anything on this last, and then it's just the notice of appearance. It's just the notice of appearance, and it's for the 25th. So let me go ahead and put this in here. So Wendy Olson and Corey Carone of Stoll Rivers LLP and enters their appearance as counsel for the Coalition of Media Companies, the Associated Press, Radio, Television, Digital News Media, Sinclair Media, Boise, and lists all these people down all correspondence pleadings in the matter regarding the above style cause. So they're saying that there is a hearing and they want to be notified by writing for any future hearings. So there you guys have it. And we just hit 2 hours on the nose. Talk about perfect timing. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. I've got a hairdressing appointment in an hour, and I'm going to be spending some time with my BFF today. So I will see you guys. I might come live later this afternoon, depending on how I'm feeling, but don't expect it. But if it happens, just be on the lookout for it. And I will talk to you soon, guys. I hope you guys got some information you can use out there on YouTube. We will discuss. And if you guys have any questions about this information, please reach out to me at bullhornbetty@gmail.com with any questions about these legal documents that have been filed in the Brian Kohberger case. And I'll see if I can gather the information and answer your question. Until next time, guys, don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Good day, guys. And don't forget, be kind to one another.
Almost too much. Almost too much.
Because they knew enough to get in and out of the house undetected.
Where
So I'm assuming.
Maddie, Kaylee, Ethan, and Zaina were brutally killed in that house. Any incidences were off the here. What I find odd right now, this is where 4 slain victims attended school. Was an entry into that home, and I believe it was that bedroom. Collaborate, and we go across it and actually tamper it down. To go find that person and find out why that knife was. City of Mount Vernon, Washington, covering the case of the Idaho. Keep your eyes and ears open. God bless you.
I hope you feel better, Mommy. I want you to have a fun time.
On trip 1 is that 4 people lost their lives.